Nupataya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vijinam Nupataya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Sati Deve Gauravani Vicharine Shesha Sanyavarine Astachalishadharine Namaste Sarasate Gauravani Vicharine Nirasesha Sanyavarine Pastyachadesha Dharine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindavan Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna. Is there any contact with Jiva Pran? Any contact? Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Have to listen carefully. No. I'll sing now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Entree. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Bonjour. Entrez-vous, s'il vous plaît. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajracharya Ashtota Sadisha A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Shri Radhasham Sundar ki, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Brihat Madanga ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Gaur Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru Gauranga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Vishani Nivasesha Sunivari Pastachare Shatarne. Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody. I heard you got lost. The pilot got lost. He took the wrong turn. He turned left. He should have turned. He was supposed to turn. No, he turned right instead of left. Didn't know where he was.
Circumambulated Delhi a few times.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice because 18 ISKCON temples and hundreds and thousands of other temples there. So I guess you get some benefit from that. And it was a bit of an ordeal, wasn't it? Ordeal. Look up ordeal. What's ordeal in French? O-R-D-E-A-L. Look it up. O-R-D-E-A-L. Ordeal. Probably the same word. Ordeal. Ordeal. O-R-D-E-A-L. What does it mean in French? What's the translation? Well, what a way to enter into Vrindavan. You went to Jaipur first. Somehow or another.
Somehow. But we waited 2 hours in the plane.
In Jaipur airport.
In the airport.
They were thinking they could fly back to Delhi. Yeah. What was the so much smog? Huh?
Yes.
Too much smog.
Yes. So it was too risky.
Huh?
It was too risky.
Too risky. Yeah.
Something difficult.
Ordeal. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes, yes.
Very, yeah, what do we say?
But what are the three deities that moved from Vrindavan to Jaipur? Govinda there?
Huh?
The deities who moved from Vrindavan
To Jaipur?
Yeah,
Did
three.
you? Oh, more than that. More than that. Did you bring them back? Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath, Radha Damodar, Radha Madhava. Goodness, so many. Dozens and dozens. I don't know all the names. Some of them moved to, Radha Madhava moved to Karoli, another town near Jaipur. Yeah. Good. They give you some, you should get a compensation from the airline. You should apply for that because it was very, flights are late and what an inconvenience, People who had transit flights would have completely missed their transit. A lot of people have transits on that airline in Delhi. Others will have missed their business meetings, all sorts of things. You missed Prashadam, and that's the biggest one of all. That's at least €1 million.
Priceless.
Yeah, priceless. Should make a claim, might get enough to pay for the new temple.
That's a good
Two of you, $1 million each.
Yeah.
You have to make up some story, You lost first of all, your taxi was waiting for you in Delhi, you had to pay for that, right? How much that? 4,000, 5,000?
3,500, but there was a transcendental arrangement that we didn't have to pay anything to have a taxi from Jaipur to here.
That's not a transcendental arrangement, that's normal. The airlines dumped you there. That's not a transcendental arrangement at all.
This was a taxi we didn't have to pay for the government taxi anyway.
We have to ask this for, maybe they can send
No, you should make a claim. I mean, why not? Everyone else, many people will. It's not difficult to get a refund, is it? When your flight's like, how many hours late? 8 hours? 8 hours late?
Overall 6.
Well, by the time you got out the airport.
it was already late.
And then all the other things involved. Hare Krishna, should go for it. Nothing against the airline, but somebody's got to compensate for that. It's Delhi fault. So anyway, you've made it at last to Vrindavan Dham. Mandakini is still here.
Yes.
You saw her?
Yes.
No.
This morning.
You saw
Yes,
her?
yes. Guru Puja Shur.
Oh, good. You didn't sleep at all?
Before coming here, 2 hours.
You didn't sleep?
Just have a night.
Gosh, you must be tired all
Jet
night.
lag is difficult.
Jet lag is very difficult. Coming this way is very difficult. I mean, I'm all over the place. I can't sleep and whatever, it's terrible. In terms of sleep right now, I sleep here and I sleep there. I never know when it's going to happen next. I don't sleep much at all. Can't sleep at night. What to do? So let's read something. Where are we reading from? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Actually, I was reading from the Kindle last night. I don't know if I should continue reading from the Kindle. Maybe, let's see. Hare Krishna. What's happening here? Hare. It's hung. You have to turn it off. It's got caught. It's in the middle of nowhere. There we go. There we go. Now it's free. Today, oh, of course, it's here. Chaitanya Chandra's gone to Govardhan? He didn't go to Govardhan.
No, it's coming.
He's coming, because this is Guru's appearance day today. Parthasarati Maharaj's appearance day.
Bhakti?
Huh?
Who's going?
Parthasarati Maharaj. You may not know him from England, but he lives in South Africa. So I think what we'll do is we'll read from the Kindle. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
What should we read from? Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam. What should we read from? CC. Jivananda. Okay, we'll carry on reading now where we left off. This is the latter part of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita when Gopa Kumar now has actually his eternal Swarup has been revealed. He's now Sri Swarup. He's a coward boy, and he's entering into the eternal pastimes of Goloka. Well, he's already been there, and now he's explaining to his disciple, who is a mature Brahmin, all about his experiences. He's back, you could say, on this plane, on this earth plane, and he's explaining. Sri Swarup said, then, so where are we now? Not sure which pastime we're on. I'm reading two pastimes simultaneously here, and we'll find out in a minute. Then everyone hurried to that spot. Nanda and the other cowherds, and Rohini and Yasoda, and all the others, even the animals. Commentary. Everyone came to where Krishna had been hiding with the gopis. Okay, this is most likely when it is an incredible understanding to say we don't have, but we generally think that pastimes like with Kamsa and Kaliya and Akrura, they only take place in Boma, Vrindavan. In one sense they do, but they reenact, or they reenact the pastimes here or there. In Goloka also, according to Sanatana Goswami. So Akrura has come, even in Goloka, with the concept or the understanding he's taking Krishna away. Quite something. Eh? Everyone came to where Krishna had been hiding with the gopis, including all the members of Nanda Maharaj's household, his priests and servants, maidservants, even the cows, buffaloes and other village animals. Lord Hari and his elder brother mounted the chariot which Akrura had quickly brought. With great effort Krishna withdrew his gaze from the gopis. Seeing the gopis sobbing, fainting, falling to the ground, overwhelmed, and covered with dust, Yasoda also cried pitifully. Though Nanda Maharaj was also miserable within, with great effort he consoled Yasoda, showing seeming expertise in taking care of the business at hand. Commentary. Here the word Eva indicates that even though Nanda seemed to be consoling his wife very competently, he could not actually get very far. Sri Nanda said, "Don't think that I'm going to that city happily, or could ever accept Krishna to be someone else's son." So one of the arguments Akrura had made was that your mother and father are suffering terribly, or Krishna's mother and father are suffering terribly. So, of course, for the residents of Vrindavan, what is he talking about? The father and mother are Nanda and Yasoda. They're not Vasudeva and Devaki. What are you talking about? They're not his parents. Yasoda and Nanda are his parents, not Vasudeva and Devaki. So here, when Krishna is being taken to Mathura, Is that the doorbell or what is that? Oh, it's your mobile. Turn your mobiles on if you can, please. Make sure your mobile's on and put a loud dialing tone. A maximum volume, please. And don't answer it also. Let it ring, okay? A roundabout way of expressing the point. So, as you may know from Krishna book, that Nanda and the coward men, they went with Krishna to Mathura. They also went. The gopis and they stayed back, but the men went. And I think many of the gopas also, I don't know if they all went, but mostly the men went, and the ladies didn't go. So naturally they're lamenting. So Nanda said, don't think that I'm going to that city happily, or could ever accept Krishna to be someone else's son, in other words, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or leave him there for any reason and come home alone, or lose my wits and allow him to stay there for very long. Commentary. It is hardly for sightseeing that Nanda is eager to take Krishna to Mathura. Though Mathura is the home of intimate friends like Vasudeva, and may be a great city, the real reason Nanda is going is that Krishna ordered him. And this is hardly a cause for delight. Mathura may be the home of the Yadus, but as long as it is ruled by Kamsa, it will be a disagreeable place to visit. Akrura's assertion that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva is a lie. As far as Nanda is concerned, Krishna could never transfer his affection to anyone else. Even if Vasudeva and the Yadus were to try to keep Krishna in Mathura by force, Nanda would never return to Vrindavan without him. And even if Krishna, after killing Kamsa, were to be crowned king and want to stay in Mathura to enjoy the kingdom, Nanda would never allow that to happen. He carried on, Nanda Maharaj carried on, I doubt whether we or any of the Brajbasis could live for a moment without your son. So you can take it for granted that as soon as we free Sri Devaki and Vasudeva, I will very quickly come back home with Krishna. Sri Shrup then said, thus assured again and again by Nanda's solemn vows, Mother Yasoda became peaceful more or less. She then made a great effort to console the gopis. She tried hard to calm them in various ways and induce them to get up off the ground. Now those who've had children, one or two of you, 3 or 4 maybe of you have had children, you know that when they're young, you're going to work in the morning, the men particularly. The child lives in the moment. The child doesn't know what's going on. It starts crying like anything. When the father, it's a child attached to the father, cries and cries and cries and tries to follow the father, and the mother will go with him and then gradually trying to console the child, get the child back home is not easy. The child may cry for ages and ages, isn't it? Some of you may have had that. I've seen it many times, that experience. That the child cannot tolerate that the father, or usually the father, because the mother usually stays with the child, the little child, of course. He doesn't know why he's living in the moment. They're not thinking of why he's going or that he's going to come back. They think he's leaving, gone, finished. They get used to it after some time, but they tend to live in the moment. It's more like the spiritual one. They live in the moment. They can't conceive of past and future. They live in the moment. That's one of the characteristics of spiritual world. Everyone lives in the moment. Always, eternally living in the moment. So it appears that the same pastimes may be occurring eternally over and over and over again. They're ever fresh, as if they never ever happened in the first place. You see that with every day the child will cry when the father goes. The child may do the same game every day and it's as if he's never done it before. They're playing like anything. And now of course they have electronic gadgets, but before They would play in the field or in the woods, in the forest, or in the earth, or in a park, or somewhere in the street even. And it's like they're doing nothing really, but they're having a great time, enjoying the so-called sort of freedom of whatever, of their play. And it's a perverted reflection of the spiritual realm. Perverted reflection. Of course, the main missing item here is Krishna. It means Krishna is not in the center of people's lives. They're in the center, not Krishna. The spiritual world is Krishna in the center. And they're crying for Krishna. They're not crying for their mothers and fathers or whatever. They're crying for Krishna. In the material world, we cry for material relatives and attachments. She tried hard to calm them in various ways and induce them to get off the ground. Then the coward men mounted their carts and Akrura started driving the chariot. Poetry. Yasoda sprinkled water on the gopis and somehow brought them to their senses. Akrura was anxious to go. The women of Raj could not tolerate even slightly being separated from Krishna. As they watched him depart, they cried, "Alas, alas!" Their faces dried up, their steps faltered, and they sobbed pitifully in great anguish. With long drawn-out cries, their voices choking in their throats, they ran behind the chariot, the laments filling all directions. Some of them held on to the chariot, others forcefully fell beneath its wheels. Some fainted and still others couldn't even go forward. Some gopis threw themselves in front of the chariot to try to stop it, or else to kill themselves. The cows, bulls, calves, deer, all the animals stood around the chariot, bellowing, their faces drenched with tears. Frantic birds flew here and there above Krishna, making a commotion, and suddenly the leaves of the plants dried up. Stones and mighty trees fell from the tall mountains. The rivers shrank and flowed upstream, leaving their creatures high and dry. Commentary. Govardhan and other mountains threw down large stones and trees. In some places the rivers dried up, stranding their flowers and vegetation on the land. In other places the rivers began to flow upstream. Seeing his most beloved devotees in such a state churned Krishna's heart with pain and sorrow. Nothing he could do could stop their wailing, and from his own eyes he had to wipe a flood of tears. The elder Vrishni, Akrura, fearing that Krishna might jump down from the chariot and go off again somewhere, supported the Lord from behind, as if affectionately concerned that the Lord might faint and fall down. Commentary. Akrura had practical intelligence acquired from many years of service to the Vrishni rulers. Now that he was finally on the way to mature with Krishna, he did everything in his power to assure that nothing would go wrong. He made a show of holding Krishna to protect him from falling, but the fact was that he wanted to prevent Krishna from again running off. Noticing that Krishna was indeed about to faint, Akrura took permission from Balaram, Nanda and the others, cracked his whip, and vigorously made the chariot's horses set out. He quickly drove the chariot away, swerving to avoid the animals and the coward women who had fallen here and there. As the gopis looked on, crying woefully like Karari birds, Akrura drove off with Krishna like an eagle carrying a piece of flesh. Commentary. Akrura seemed to carry Krishna off so swiftly as an eagle flies off with its prey, and just as cruelly. He drove the horses so swiftly that no one could tell where he went. Commentary. The horses were well trained, faithful followers of Kamsa. All the coward men, headed by Nanda, mounted their own carts, yoked to large bulls, and quickly followed Akrura. Next verse. Akrura brought Krishna to Lord Brahma's lake, offered him many kinds of prayers, and counseled him with a continuous flow of logical arguments. In this way, restoring him to an almost normal state. Per commentary, Akrura hoped that being at Brahmarada, better known as Akrura Tirtha, would remind Krishna of how Krishna had given the cowards a vision of Vaikuntha, and that memory might further remind Krishna of one of the purposes for which he had descended to the earth, to kill Kamsa. Next verse. How the people of Vraja then suffered is too painful to hear. Alas, alas, telling of this topic shatters even lightning bolts. I have said enough. Imagine shattering a lightning bolt. Usually they shatter everything else. How the people of Vraj then suffered. Commentary. Those who hear about the misery the Vrajvasis underwent after Krishna left them will endure the same misery. Therefore, in the company of those unprepared to suffer, this topic is best left undiscussed. Next verse. Sri Parikshit said, Sarup, having said this, his voice full of grief, loudly wept, Dear mother, and overwhelmed by the ecstasy of pure love, he fainted. The excellent but shaken Brahmin of Mathura cried for a moment. Then by trying this way and that, he brought Sarup back to normal. Sarup then continued to speak. Sri Sarup said, Krishna went to Madhupuri, where he pleased all its residents. He killed Kamsa and his followers and delivered his own parents. Commentary. To avoid the risk of again losing control of himself, Sri Sarup changed the subject. When Krishna first entered Mathura, he blessed many of its residents, including a tailor and a garland maker. He installed Ugrasena, Kamsa's father, as king, brought the Yadavas back from all directions, and consoled the people of the city. The Yadus, who had no goal in life but Krishna, had suffered greatly and were terrified of the king's favour by Kamsa. Out of concern for those Yadus, the Lord, always compassionate to his devotees, stayed with them, with his elder brother, and to comfort his devotees in Gokul, he sent back Nanda and the other coward men. Commentary. Krishna is Bhaktavatsal. He feels obliged to take care of anyone who takes exclusive shelter of him. Because Kamsa hated the Yadus, they suffered terrible persecution under his rule. Now Kamsa was dead, but Jarasandha and other powerful friends of Kamsa were still alive and could attack Mathura any moment. Father, the Lord said, first you should quickly go home with the cowards before any of Gokul's residents die in our absence. Commentary. Krishna cleverly argued that if Nanda Maharaj were to return home, the Vrajvasis might be pacified enough to at least stay alive. I will soon arrange for the happiness of these well-wishers of yours in Mathura, whose hearts are so distressed. Then I will come back to Vraj. Commentary. Nanda should have no doubt that Krishna will return home as soon as possible, because Krishna's heart always stays in Vraj. Sri Nanda said, before I came here I declared to the Vrajvasis that I could never believe that you were someone else's son, nor ever believe that you could abandon. I could never believe that you are someone else's son, nor ever believe that you could abandon such friends as them and live elsewhere. Therefore, please save us. Save us. Don't ever, for any reason, send us away from you. Wherever you might go, by your sweet will, oh, then maybe we also go with you. The Vrajvasis and your mother still live and breathe only because I gave them hope. If I were to return so hard-hearted as to go back without you, oh Father, surely they would die on the spot. Interesting, says, oh Father. Commentary. All the people of Vraj trusted Nanda when he gave his word that he would not come back without Krishna. To violate that word would be to sentence them all to death. Desperate to change Krishna's mind, Nanda tries to reawaken Krishna's family sentiments and the memory of his poor mother, and curiously reverses roles with Krishna by calling him father. He called his own son father. Sridham said, "When you display your glories by grazing the cows in the pastures, dear Lord, and you are hidden behind trees or creepers, for but a moment we cannot bear to live. How then can we possibly stay without you for a long time?" Sri Shrup said, "As the Lord heard these complaints from his devotees, he stood in silence. Then Vasudeva, the son of Shurasena, spoke up, afraid that the Lord might decide to go to Vraj. Sri Vasudeva said, "Dear brother Nanda, surely your son and his elder brother can be happy in all respects only by living there in Vraj. They will suffer nothing but distress anywhere else. But now is the time for them to be initiated. They should go as brahmacharis to another place to study, and afterwards they can return to Vraj." Commentary. As the Dharma Shastras prescribe, sons of Vaishyas at the age of 11 should undergo the Upanayana samskara, acceptance of the sacred thread by initiation. Balaram and Krishna, Vasudeva suggests, are not exceptions. They too should be sent to the Gurukul of a learned Brahmin to study the Vedas. They should stay neither in Mathura nor at home in Vrindavan with their parents. But until the Upanayana ceremony is arranged, Balaram and Krishna can safely stay with Vasudeva while they finish their business in Mathura. Sri Shrup said, when Nanda saw that Krishna disagreed with his words and agreed with those of Vasudeva, Nanda departed crying in distress. Only because Nanda was confident that Krishna couldn't stay away from home without his father was Nanda willing to leave. Surely Krishna would decide at the last minute to come back with him to Vraj. It's described, I don't know where it's described. Where is it? I don't know. One of the commentators on this pastime describes how actually Krishna did go back, and so did all the coward men. They all went back, but they went back in two forms. Krishna expanded, you could say, three, he expanded twice. Two forms. One was manifest, one was unmanifest. The manifest one was not manifest to those who were not in that pastime, so to speak. So it looked like Krishna wasn't back there, but he was actually there but unseen. But he was also there in unmanifested form. And the gopis, everyone was experiencing both presence and absence of Krishna simultaneously. And it's kind of inconceivable, of course, to conditioned souls how this is going on. And generally we only hear the unmanifest aspect. But Krishna absolutely never leaves Vrindavan. It's not they're describing not that it's only just that he's there in thought, or he's there in some unmanifest way, and so on and so forth. That's also there. But he's also there but unseen to the general eye. When, like Uddhava apparently saw both when he went back. I think it's in that pastime of Uddhava, when he came to Vrindavan. He saw both, and then he saw the other side too. They were very, you could say, something like Lord Brahma seeing the form of the Lord, and then seeing the coward boys, and then seeing them all transform into Narayan himself, and so on and so forth. Sometimes Krishna reveals, according to the individual's particular devotional position and their relationship with him. Just like we heard this morning, how when Krishna was, you see, these pastimes are going on not just in the manifest world of we are now, we call Boma Vrindavan. We read the pastimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna book and so on. About Krishna, for instance, the killing various demons or the chastisement of Kaliya. These pastimes are also, in some ways, they're reflections from the spiritual realm onto this material plane. And of course they mix up with the material, the material interaction of this world. But in the spiritual realm they also have their presence, apparently according to Sanatana Goswami. And they're going on there, but they're all pastimes. There's not a question of demons, but is the mentality or the excitement of such events, is there the different tastes of such apparent demons threatening Krishna, or whatever it may be. It appears like that. As children play and they reenact all kinds of things, battling with each other. One takes the role of a demon, one takes the role of some pious person, or a policeman, and an Indian. In America, it used to be the Indians and the cowboys, the Westerners and the Indians, and the boys would take different roles and they would enact the pastimes like this. So in one sense it's like that they're actually having great time. So by Yogamaya's arrangement, it appears that Kali also captures Krishna in his coils, and practically he's killing him, and all the inauspiciousness by Yogamaya's arrangement, the internal potency in this case is arrangement, is all the Bijbasis, they're all in total distress and anxiety, and anyway the whole pastime that goes on there, of course it's a little different. It's all pastimes. It's pastimes here too, but it appears to be a little bit more, let's say, related to the material plane. There's no question there of any demons being there in Goloka Vrindavan, but the pastime of the demons being there is taking place. All these various pastimes are going on, no matter what they are taking place, and they're going on simultaneously for eternity, and it's all very inconceivable to conditioned souls who live in past, present and future. When you live in the eternal present, then there's no question of anything, what can you say? And we think that would be the same thing. It would be like statues, or Mayavad philosophy, you simply exist in eternity and that's it. But it's hard to conceive how these pastimes are all eternal. They're all eternal. How can they all be going on eternally? And so many varied pastimes, different forms of Krishna's expansions are there too. Different pastimes in different moods are going on eternally also. When Krishna expands in the various pastimes, or as I say, the various forms that he takes for various reasons, be they creative, be they reciprocal, rasic, be they what they may, all of his eternal internal associates expand with him, as and when the requirement is there, as parents, or as friends, or as lovers, as wives, whatever they may be, expand into the innumerable pastimes, as according to the need. In many of the incarnations or forms of the Lord takes, there's no place, for instance, for conjugal love, or even friendship, or parenthood. In the pastimes of Lord Narayan, for instance, there's no real need, even though Lord Narayan is an expansion of Krishna, and his internal associates are there. In fact, Nanda's also there, but it's not quite the same as it is in Goloka Vrindavan. Nanda's also there in Vaikuntha, but he's it's not the same mood of intimacy and affection that is there in Goloka Vrindavan. And in many of the pastimes they don't exist at all. There's no Vatsalya Bhav, there's no Sakya Bhav, there's no Madhurya Bhav, there's just Dasya Bhav, Dasya Ras and Shanta Ras in most of the incarnations practically. There may be some degree of the others, but not much. Even Krishna's form, both in Gokula and Goloka, they're fully manifest relationships of all the various rasas are present there in their full-blown form. They're not shrunken in any way or reduced. They may appear to be at some points, but they're not. It's all part of intensifying the actual love which is between Krishna and his pure devotees, his eternal associates. as in this material world, which we're in, of course. Everything has its beginning and middle and end, no matter what the relationship is. Only the relationship with Krishna is our constitutional, eternal position which lasts forever. And because the devotees live in the moment, they don't see outside that moment. They don't see outside it. They just judge things on the moment, basically. There's not so much... I mean, sometimes they remember Krishna's glories in terms of his opulences, or the fact that, many times, because it's all related to Krishna, they may be singing about Krishna's glories in terms of his killing demons and other things, lifting Govardhan hill, and on and on. They'll be singing about that always. But basically, they're living in the present. And you'll see that Aristasura will come again, Keshi comes again, Kalya comes again, Putana comes again in the various pastimes, to always keep that spirit there. It's always there, it's always there, it's all part of the intensive, loving relationship in the various rasas. When there's that challenge, or that threat. We see in the Leela, Damodar Leela, how it appears Krishna is afraid of Mother Yasoda with her stick. It appears like that. And he is. It's part of the pastime. If he wasn't, it wouldn't have the same effect. It wouldn't be the same relationship. Krishna, for the pleasure of Mother Yasoda, is becoming afraid. The pleasure of Mother Yasoda. Krishna is everything for the ultimate pleasure of his devotees. And devotees do everything for the ultimate pleasure of Krishna. And whatever pastimes are going on, they are like this. They're eternal and living in the present. When you live in the present, nothing ever fades away. There's no time influence. So devotees are not the past that sleeps, nor are the future dream at all, but live with times that are with thee in progress, he shall call. The devotees should live with times that are with us, not living in the past, but live with the moment we're in, and try to be Krishna conscious on the spot. Not wait for the future, or lament about the past, but live in the moment. Rise above this duality due to time, and try to be Krishna conscious right now, instead of trying to adjust the effects of time always. All the problems we have, or mental or physical, are just results of time. They're reactions of the time elements and interaction with the modes of nature and so on. But if a devotee learns or realizes the fact is that we should live in the moment and not get hung up about these other things. They're just passing phases. In the material world, they're not eternal. The pastimes of the material world are only temporary. Spiritual world, they're eternal. And they're full of bliss and knowledge. It's not like they're just lifeless or something. Nobody dies. Nothing decays. Everything's eternally and ever fresh. Spiritual world is ever fresh. Everyone likes to stay ever fresh. Ladies, they like to try to make themselves look like young girls again, even though they're 80 years old. They spend $1 million if they've got it to try to look beautiful again, for whatever reason. One devotee was telling me, in fact, it was Gopaswami Prabhu, whom you know very well from France, those who are from France, Gopaswami. His mother was admitted into an old age people's home, about 92 years old or something. And then they're talking there that, a new chapter in her life or something. But the lady in charge said, no, don't worry. They usually start a new family here. Many of them said get married inside there. They're 80, 90 years old, and they meet some other person 80 years old, and they get married there. She won't be lonely, don't worry, she'll find somebody. 80, 90 years old, She was over 90. She didn't actually. She had a boyfriend or something like that. Something like that. It's like, this illusion that we're in. I think we can live forever or something. The reality is, yes, you can, but not like that. You just have to turn it on again. And we try to reenact. It's like we go back sometimes to our childhood almost when we get old, and you start thinking of, the early days and what have you. This afternoon I was talking to Ajita in Govardhan, New Govardhan, Australia, and I was talking about one of my disciples there, how it seems she's going back, she's like not reliving, she's actually been asked to do it, but it is like that. It's relating to her first services in Krishna consciousness again. That's where her security lies. It also reminds her of her husband, who was expert at that service. They kind of live their lives. The difference being when you're a devotee, you live it in a Krishna conscious way, not in a mundane way. It's actually a purifying experience also. Very nice. We can become attached like that, not attached to the material one, but attached to service to Krishna. Sri Swarup said, when Nanda saw that Krishna disagreed with his words and agreed with those of Vasudeva, Nanda departed, crying in distress. Commentary: only because Nanda was confident that Krishna couldn't stay away from home without his father was Nanda willing to leave. Surely Krishna would decide at the last minute to come back with him to Vraj. Lord Krishna, along with the princes of the Yadava dynasty, followed Nanda, the king of the Kauravas. The Kaurat men, one after another, embraced Krishna by the neck, and Krishna cried profusely, as so did they. Vasudeva and the other Yadavas, all astute, saw that Krishna was overwrought, wanting to go, and with many arguments they coaxed him back. Commentary: it seemed that Nanda was right. Krishna wanted to go home with him, but the Yadavas implored Krishna not to go, arguing it was needed in Mathura to save them from the great catastrophes, not least of which was the threat of invasion by Jarasandha. And they persisted in putting forward their reasons until Krishna finally agreed to stay. Obeying Krishna's desire, Nanda and the other Kaurat men went back to Vraj. And when the Vrajvasis heard that he had arrived, they all came out to greet him, full of joy. Commentary: only because Krishna asked the Kauravas to return did they take the unimaginable step of going home without him. Krishna's desire was the only force that could move them to do such a thing. Even the carts went down the road by their own force, without being driven by Krishna's desire. The devotees that had stayed in Vraj also lived only according to Krishna's desire. Naturally then, they assumed that Krishna was with Nanda, and they greeted him, Nanda, joyfully. Next verse. Nanda, however, overcome with sorrow and shame, covered his face with his cloth and went home. There he lay on the ground and cried, supremely miserable. Commentary: bereft of Krishna, Nanda had good reason to feel sorrowful, and having broken his promise not to return without Krishna, good reason to feel ashamed. The Brajvasis, not seeing their Lord, were beside themselves with distress, confused about what to do, and sick with forebodings and apprehensions. Their faces withered. They heard no news from the elder Kauravas about the Lord, and they couldn't bring themselves to ask. Commentary: since no one told the Vrajvasis that Kamsa was dead, they were still afraid of what he might do to Krishna. Nanda was silent about what had happened to Krishna in Mathura, and they feared what they might be told if they were to speak. Next verse. Krishna's mother cried, "Alas, alas, alas, alas!" And the other women cried out too, all in great pain. How can one speak about the state they were in? Oh alas, oh alas. Sri Parikshit said, "Dear mother, that best of young Kauravas, Sarup, then again grew utterly confused. As he contemplated what had happened in Vraj, his heart burned in a fire of sorrow. The most excellent Brahmin carefully brought Swarup somewhat back to normal, and Swarup, fearful of becoming confused again, spoke no further details on that topic. Commentary. The mature Brahmin, just to bring his guru back to external consciousness, called out to him, touched his feet and sprinkled him with water. But when kind-hearted Swarup saw that the mature Brahmin was eager to hear the rest of the story, he controlled his mind and continued to speak. Commentary. Because Swarup's disciple, the Brahmin, had a strong desire to hear, Swarup, even at the cost of his own well-being, felt the compassionate duty to help him spiritually advance. Sri Swarup said, when Krishna heard from a reliable person that the heavy sorrow the Brajbasis felt could never be removed by any other means, he fully explained this state of affairs to the people of Mathura. And controlled by the love of his dearest devotee, he soon went back to Vraj. Commentary. According to the advice of Uddhava and other dependable counselors, only Krishna's return would calm the Vrajvasis. Krishna and Balaram therefore exchanged their royal garments for their old coward dress and went home. Impelled by compassion for the residents of Braj, Krishna, that questule of artful heroes, quickly gave them back their lives. He enjoyed with them until they forgot their misery and what had caused it. Commentary. Krishna made sure that the Brajvasis forgot every last thought that had caused them anguish, including Akrura's having come to Braj and taken him away to Mathura. Krishna took this trouble for two reasons: because he is Vidagdha Murdanya Manahi, the most gracious performer of various deeds, and because he is Kripakula, driven by compassion for his suffering devotees. And if any Brajbasis ever remembered that suffering, they would bitterly lament and cry out in fear, "What a horrible, unheard of thing I saw in my dream." Commentary. Even in their dreams, the Brajbasis could not imagine Krishna leaving them to go elsewhere. Their panic at the mere thought of it was but another aspect of their ecstatic love for Krishna. The fullness of Krishna's sweet coward pastimes so utterly attracted and enchanted the Brajbasis' senses that after a time they forgot everything, even that there was a past or a future. O friend, on another occasion that same Akrura came to Braj on his chariot as if he had never came before. Commentary. On the order of Kamsa, the same Akrura came again to bring Krishna to Mathura. Krishna had gone back, and now Akrura comes again, because everyone, including Akrura, was bewildered by the influence of the Goloka atmosphere. No one could remember that this was not the first time Akrura had arrived in Vrindavan. He once again took the life of Vraj, and the residents went again into the same state. Again Krishna went to Madhupuri, again killed Kamsa, and again returned to Vraj, where he continued, as before, to enjoy his pastimes. Thus Krishna again and again goes to Kamsa's city, as he many times did before, and again returns to sport in Vraj. Hard to imagine they're all going on eternally. Krishna subdues Kaliya time and again in the same way, and time and again lifts Govardhan Hill, and again and yet again he performs his many other wonderful pastimes. Thus the Lord enchants the hearts of his devotees. Commentary. Since all of Krishna's pastimes, beginning with the killing of Putana, are eternal, Krishna enjoys them with his devotees in Goloka as often as they like. And there's the key, as they like. Yet each time a pastime is repeated, it seems completely new, as if never seen or heard of before. This description may confuse us, How can Krishna replay pastimes he has already performed? And how can demons like Putana repeatedly be killed? But Krishna's pastimes are transcendental. They are unlimitedly attractive to all his devotees, whether eternal companions or new converts to pure devotional service. Even newly elevated devotees feel extraordinary love for the Supreme Person whenever they hear and remember his pastimes. Those pastimes generate such a force of loving attraction as to fix the memories of them in the hearts of the devotees. Meditation on those pastimes then gives rise to a very special happiness. In this way, Krishna's pastimes stir the hearts of even neophyte devotees, and Krishna's eternal devotees taste the sweetness and wonder unknown to anyone else. But the residents of Raj, completely bewildered by the Kalakuta poison of their supreme love for Krishna, never think that any of these events has ever occurred before. Commentary. Because the Vrajvasis are never aware that Krishna's pastimes are repeat performances, the attraction they feel for those pastimes is never impeded. The highest states of Krishna Prema have the power to create such bewilderment. Thus the powerful force of their obsessive love ever increasingly grows both in union and in separation. As true as this is for the eternal residents of Raj, even newcomers like me can hardly remember those past events. Commentary. In pure devotional life, everyone is fully absorbed in transcendence. Some devotees, however, can be distinguished as nutna, new, because they were conditioned souls and have recently been reinstated in their original position by devotional practice on the Supreme Lord's personal grace. How can any resident of Raj not forget in this way? The Vrajvasis, after all, are ever immersed in the ocean made by these river currents of most enchanting sweetness, and by gaining the vast, most desirable treasure of pure love for Krishna, the Vrajvasis became maddened. As true as this is for the eternal residents of Braj, even newcomers like me can hardly remember those. We read that. How can any resident of Braj not forget in this way? I read that too. And oh, the most glorious thing is that the foremost of enlightened persons, the Lord himself, while drowning in an ocean of love for his dear devotees, cannot always remember what he has done and what he is going to do. Kind of funny, huh? He's suffering from dementia or something here. Why does he not remember? I think Krishna should know everything. He remembers, never forgets anything. Isn't it? And the qualities of Godhead. Why does he not remember? It says here he doesn't always remember. Cannot always remember what he has done and what he is going to do. Although they're eternal. And he's eternal and they're all his pastimes. Why can't he remember them? Is that Maya? Yes, it's Yoga Maya. And if he could remember the pastimes, the sweetness of the pastime would not be the same. He also has this feeling it's the first time this ever happened. It's by his Yoga Maya potency. She covers all the living entities in this way. Yoga Maya is making all these arrangements for. He's like the active form, the pleasure potency, you could say, arranging all the various situations to enhance the pleasure or the love between Krishna and his devotees. That's her business. So separation is also a part of that, enhancing the pleasure of union, absorbing the devotees deeply in their relationship with Krishna. Commentary. Isn't perfect knowledge an automatic byproduct of love of God? Why then are the pure devotees of Goloka so forgetful? Yes, to one who has prema, omniscience comes naturally, but prema, being all-powerful, can redefine what is knowledge and what is ignorance. The personality of God himself, by the influence of his Yoga Maya, also forgets what he did before. But though he often forgets, he sometimes remembers. if it serves the purpose of his pastimes. The pastimes of the Lord are ever existing and purely spiritual, devoid of eternity, knowledge and bliss. Excuse me, I'll read it again. The pastimes of the Lord are ever existing and purely spiritual, formed of eternity, knowledge and bliss. Of their own accord, those pastimes attracted to the Lord's lotus feet to engage in service, follow him everywhere, supplying the entourage and paraphernalia for each occasion. Commentary: Krishna's pastimes are Satchitanandamaya, composed of Sat, eternal existence, Chit, full awareness, and Ananda, full ecstasy, pure ecstasy. In this way, the suffix Maya could mean either identity or transformation. In other words, since Krishna's leelas are a display of Krishna's internal energy, they are non-different from him, and they are also a manifestation of transcendental variety. There are never any defects in Krishna's leelas, even when Krishna seems to behave like an ordinary person. The ladies of the neighborhood complain to Yasoda when Krishna is caught in his naughty activities. We read this, I think. When he is caught in his naughty activities, the master of the house tried to stop him. "Oh, you are a thief," and artificially express anger at Krishna. Krishna will then reply, "I am not a thief. You are a thief." Sometimes being angry, Krishna passes urine and stool in a neat, clean place in our houses. But now our dear friend Yasoda, that expert thief is His expert thief is sitting before you like a very good boy. Sometimes all the gopis would look at Krishna sitting there, his eyes fearful, so his mother would not chastise him. And when they saw Krishna's beautiful face, instead of continuing to complain about him, they would simply look upon his face and enjoy transcendental bliss. I probably have to stop very soon. Extraordinarily tired. Lack of resting, I'm afraid. But maybe some of us would like to ask some questions or comments. Quite spiritual topics. Huh? There we go.
You mentioned about the fact that Vrajavasis are eternally in the moment. You can notice that it's quite difficult to be in the moment because we either lament of staying in the past or we plan for the future. How can we reinforce this being in the moment? And
in our particular situation, that we're still conditioned also, of course, so we still do have our identifications with the past, our attachments. Even if we try to put it aside, it's still, our very being is affected by it. So even if we try to live in the moment, so to speak, which we are in now in a sense, is not necessarily the same. Our present moment is a combination of innumerable momentary situations in the past, resulting in the present situation with hopes of future improvement. So to live in the moment as we're standing right now, it's a matter of, let's say, cultivating that spirit, because the spirit is that, what they're doing, living in the moment. They're eternally, fully Krishna conscious. Everything is completely Krishna conscious. There's no question of, any kind of bahushaka. There's no There's no other branches. Everything is focused on Krishna, absolutely everything. There's no other thought, there's no other lead. But at the present moment there are other thoughts in our minds. There are other demands in our hearts to do things. The conditioned souls living in material bodies. So there's tremendous demand for doing things, and we've got to think of the future a little bit, otherwise you're definitely going to find the life difficult. You know, if you're going to have clothes to wear, so you've got to think about getting clothes, or food to eat. You've got to think about these things and act on it. Otherwise there'll be nothing to eat, nothing to wear. It's, you know, you're not going to live long in this world, in this body, very long. We have to think of the future, and we have to learn from the past. But we live in the present in the sense that our present moment is to try to dedicate this moment and each and every moment of our lives in the service of Krishna. This is our practice, not to waste time, but to utilize our time fully in hearing and chanting or serving Krishna. Let's consider then living in the moment. We give our entire life and soul to whatever service we're doing at that moment. But unfortunately, oftentimes, an example with chanting japa, our mind is either in the past or the future. We're not living in the moment. We're living in the past and future mostly. Dreaming of the future, dwelling on the past. We should be aware that, you know, there's not much you can do about the past unless Krishna has a plan, you can change it. But we're also dreaming of the future and dwelling on the past. That keeps us in this bodily state of consciousness. Keeps us in the world of duality. So it's overcome by trying to concentrate or focus completely on the service which you have at this very moment, whatever that may be. Try to give your whole to that particular service or that particular situation of service that you're in. And otherwise you're not really living in the moment. It's like you go to take prasad and you're thinking of, you know, this evening's program. Or you're in the morning program, you're thinking of breakfast, or thinking of something else, you're chanting japa, and you're thinking of your calendar for the next week or something. All the appointments you have that day, whatever it may be. We should bear that in mind, that it means to be conscious of Krishna. Try to be conscious of Krishna in all of our activities. And one can rise above the effects of the modes of nature, which are none other than the instruments of time. Rise above this machine, or this creation, or Maya's influence, whatever you want to call it. By living like that, always being conscious of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Sad?
Yogamaya is a servant of Krishna, but it was Siddhanta Goswami saying that because she's a potency of Krishna, and that's why she can become bewildered.
Yeah. I mean, everything is non-different than Krishna, simultaneously one within different. So she's Krishna's mystifying potency, but she expands, of course, as Mahamaya, which causes people to forget Krishna. Yogamaya causes them to become even closer to Krishna, no matter who they are. And to enhance when becoming closer to Krishna means whatever relationship they're in, to enhance the deepening of that relationship, the intensifying of that relationship. And she creates various scenarios, including, as we hear here, causing even Krishna to forget his own pastimes, practically speaking, to forget what he just did, to enhance the various pastimes themselves. Mahamaya does the same thing, lifetime after lifetime. We forget our previous pastimes, our previous lives, and most of what we've done in this life, we forget it. complete memory of it. Maya takes it and covers the living entity in this way, so we don't remember that we've done these things before in another form, in another body maybe, but we've been through all of that many times over. We don't quite catch it. I still think that, we can make this life the successful one, and that time doesn't allow that. So to see ultimately beyond these things, beyond these dualities of material existence. In the spiritual world, Yoga Maya always acts for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotees. So both Krishna and his devotees, they're both, you could say, in a state of what it says, as we read, in a state of apparent forgetfulness. But they experience real forgetfulness, although it's, in one sense it's not, because the whole thing is to remember Krishna, so they're constantly remembering Krishna, even in their so-called forgetfulness of previous pastimes. They're always remembering Krishna, always thinking of Krishna. And the devotees, and Krishna's always thinking of his devotees. He's not a lonely God. Sometimes he says he's a jealous God. That jealousy is completely spiritual, pure. It's just to increase the pleasure of devotees, Krishna does what he does. He's spontaneous, so there's no need of planning. There's no need of making all these insecure securities that we try to make in this world. Nothing's secure. And pure devotees they say that they also plan, but their plan is entirely for Krishna's pleasure. They do everything for Krishna's pleasure, nothing for their own pleasure at all. Anything else? Unfortunately, you'll be leaving shortly, right? You two ladies. There you are. You're leaving Vrindavan soon. This week.
Yes.
Today is what? Today is Tuesday. You're leaving Friday? We're going away tomorrow. We're not coming back till when? Tuesday? You want some water?
Yes.
You have a cough, do you?
Yes.
A lot of devotees have coughs. Mananda has a cough. Quite a lot of devotees have coughs. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we're always worried about the future, isn't it? Worrying about our health, worrying about our family, worrying about our business, worrying about the temple, worrying about so many things. But if we can put Krishna in the center of that worry, then that worry can be, you can say, that which delivers us almost. Not that we are going out of our way to worry, but worry comes in its own accord. We have to also connect with Krishna. Baba said we should worry about how to spread Krishna consciousness, not just about ourselves. Worry about how to spread this movement. That's the best thing. Anything else?
Like when Krishna from Vrindavan went to Mathura, so gopis feeling separation, so Mathura is not too far. So did he put restriction, don't come to Mathura? They can go to...
No, they can't go to Mathura. They can't go to Mathura. Different mood. Mathura is a different mood. Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna in Vrindavan doesn't go to Mathura either. Krura Tirtha, Krura Ghat. It's Vasudeva Krishna who proceeds on. Vrindavan Krishna doesn't cross over that boundary. He stays unmanifested, say, to the eyes of those who are not in that mood. They can't see him, but the actual Vrindavan Krishna never steps out of Vrindavan for a moment. You're seeing a reflection of it or a manifestation of it here, but he never steps outside of Vrindavan. The Vasudeva Krishna goes to Mathura. And the gopis, what business do they have in Mathura? Have any business in Mathura? A different mood altogether. The gopas appear to go. Again, that's another mystery. They appear to go. And we're still waiting to come to that section of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But they didn't stay. It's like they were shown at Tirtha, the Vaikunthas, and they had literally no interest in it. They have no interest in Mathura. They didn't stay there. What they do in Mathura. So Vrindavan Krishna appeared to go, and he came back as well, but he never really left. And what happened with those? I mean, it's been explained already that the eternal associates of the Lord expand. They are their expansions in Mathura. They are their expansions in Dwarka. They are their expansions in Vaikuntha. But the original forms have no business in Mathura. Their expansion forms may go. The expansive forms go. When they return, they simply merge back into their original forms. Maybe they're unmanifest in the meantime, or maybe they're not. But they merge back and become manifested again. They have no business then. Yeah, as you say, it's only a short distance. Why don't they just get on a bus and go there? But they didn't have buses. Yeah. It's like even in our lives, sometimes you simply don't belong there, even though you're on the doorstep. You know. I mean, they have rules. I mean, children under 18 are not allowed in the bar or whatever it is. It's a different thing, but it's the same principle. You're right there, but you can't enter in because you don't have the eligibility to enter in. Or you don't have any interest to enter in. You know, it's like people walk past the temple every day, they have no interest whatsoever. They come, they don't even go in the temple, and they just have no interest whatsoever. They're like animals almost. They have no consciousness to understand what's going on. They don't understand it anyway. It's like people criticize, they see something, they start criticizing from their own conditioned life. They understand nothing what's actually going on at all. Nothing whatsoever. They judge everything from their own angle of vision, their own conditioning, which is all material conditioning, material perspective, material vision, seeing things materially. And therefore they get the wrong impression. And have no attraction. Why should they? No interest in surrendering to Krishna. Attraction, Krishna is not something which is a mechanical involvement. It's actually a relationship with Krishna. And of course it is negative and positive, but the positive and the loving relationship is direct and loving relationship, which is a result of coming in contact with Krishna. It's not a result of, exactly a result of our activity. It's a result of our contact with Krishna. The more we're contacting Krishna, the activity may attract Krishna. That may draw him to, bring us closer to him, or him closer to us, visibly speaking, consciously speaking. Ultimately, it's due to our actual relationship with Krishna, not what we do. That's just to help to awaken or to cultivate that relationship with Krishna. And the more the more you associate with the fire, the hotter you get. The more you associate with Krishna, depending on which form it is, then you'll develop various kinds of ecstasies and relationships with Krishna. Different rasas will be experienced. Krishna will reveal himself according to the particular mood of that devotee. And in the same situation, Krishna will reveal himself differently to two different persons in the same situation because they have different mood. Krishna reciprocates with the mood. He's not like a dumb creature of this world that doesn't understand, even on this plane, these things of the material world, what to speak of the spiritual. But for the pure devotees, there's no interference, there's nothing in between. It's just pure spontaneous love for Krishna. Absolutely nothing in between. There's no other influence whatsoever. And Krishna, that's when he reveals his real self, you could say. Then Mathura is the same thing, but their love for Krishna, their praying for Krishna is of a different caliber. It's a different, has a different kind of characteristics to it. They're slightly different. There's a slight tinge of reverence there, of knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Person. He's God. That doesn't always manifest, but it's there. That underlying kind of understanding of Krishna is there. It tends to reduces the intensity of the praying, or the love. In Vrindavan there's no other influence. Love is the only feature. There's no extra reverence or anything else in it. And in each and every incarnation of the Lord there's different aspects are there. But only in Krishna do you find this complete fullness of prema and amongst his most intimate associates. That you cannot express is inappropriate. It's even in this word is inappropriate. It's like you say, for instance, you're a high court judge. When you go home, you're not a high court judge. If you go home and start treating your family as if, you're the judge and they need to be punished because they're not, doing according to your will or something, then that would be incompatible. And similarly, if your wife, and she's also a member of the jury or the court or something, if she comes to the court and sort of goes in and said, "Why did you leave your shoes outside the door this morning, You didn't wash your plate. I told you to wash your plate. I had to go out shopping urgently. I came back and I found a mess, and that my aunt, my sister came and she saw a terrible mess in her house. It's all your fault." If she comes into the courtroom like that, it's completely incompatible. It just doesn't fit. She doesn't belong in the courtroom. That's not her husband. It isn't. He's a judge. She has no relationship with him. He can't sort of stop being a judge and start looking at his wife and sending love messages or something on his mobile, and the court case is going on. Your Honor, it appears that you've not been hearing the. He's got to be 100% tuned in to the situation he's in. So it's worth a reflection. So the same thing's there. Krishna's 100% in being Vasudeva Krishna in one sense. But many times he can't hide the fact that, this is not really, his intention. Partly because that's how it is and that's his pastime, but also to understand that the highest form of devotion is that experienced by the Vrajbasis, not the Dwarka Vasis or Mathura Vasis or any other Vasis, but the Vrindavan Vasis. Pastime for that reason too. And many people are more attracted to the Dwarka pastimes. No, you can't really say the Mathura pastimes are kind of not so known, not so prominent. Maybe like the pastimes, but not attracted to that plane of. It's more or less like Dwarka anyway. It's the same because they transferred from Mathura to Dwarka under certain circumstances. So it's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. The Dwarka pastimes, many devotees are more attached or attracted to that than they are to. I don't mean attachment in terms of hearing or not, but just in their heart, There's Krishna, serving Krishna. All the Vasas are there also. Friendship is not so prominent. Conjugal with his wives, motherhood with Vasudeva and Devaki and other seniors there in Dwarka. And friendship is Perhaps not quite so prominent with Krishna, amongst his sons it is. But the other rasas are their service and conjugal and mother relationship. The relationship of friend, Krishna's friends, I mean, it's there with Balaram, it's there with a few other the residents, maybe Arjuna, a few others like friends, but the majority are the servants or parental relationship, protective relationship, like a guru, another's uncle, his own mother and father, and others who may be there, seniors who may be there. Others are neutral or served mostly. With Lord Narayan, only Lakshmi has a conjugal relationship. His servant Nanda is in the mood. It's the same Nanda Maharaj who expands into Nanda also, actually, one of the associates of Lord Narayan, who is no doubt manifesting a certain amount of protectivity towards the Lord, though he doesn't need it. And presumably Nanda's consort is also Yasoda expansion, like that old expansion. So particular relationships, you could say, that personality with that particular, but the relationship will be somewhat shrunken, will be somewhat different in each incarnation. The relationship will be not quite the same as it is in Goloka, Vrindavan. And the same person expands to serve Krishna in that particular pastime. And all the eternal associates, Sridham, he expands as Garuda in Vaikuntha pastimes, for instance. He's Garuda, carrier of the Lord. In different ways he expands in different pastimes. But they don't manifest. Sometimes they're partial, and sometimes it's that they're full. Even the demigods in this world are actually expansions. There are demigods in the spiritual world too. They play a certain pastime role. So Indra and Brahma, they're all there. They expand into this world to take the roles in this world. Now they may be partial about potent expansions or full expansions. Sometimes they're full and sometimes they're potent. The potent expansions, when a jiva's got that role, but the potency to act in that role is none other than the particular form of Indra in the spiritual realm. Whatever. In Vaikuntha, certain places in Vaikuntha. And the world's a reflection of the spiritual world. Whatever's in this world is there in the spiritual realm. It's just, maybe interacting with the material energy so it appears different. It's actually a reflection. It's like a reflection that interacts with various substances. Appears different. When reacting with the modes of nature, it appears different. And when the jiva starts to get proud, like it appears, and from our perspective at least, the Indra gets overwhelmed with the fact that he's empowered. He's got Avesh, he's Shakti Avesh. He's got the potency of the Indra of the spiritual realm, and he thinks it's his own potency, although Brahma thinks it's his own potency. Tries to challenge Krishna. And this is the imitation that living entity has in this world. We're all trying to imitate God. We think this is my strength, my this, my that. But everything belongs to Krishna. All comes from Krishna. Whatever strength we have, whatever we may have in this world, ability and so on, all comes from Krishna. Maya means to forget that. Krishna consciousness means to remember that. And then to utilize it in that way, living in the moment. And it doesn't really matter what's going on. There's no question of friends and enemies or fear of the material energy. Because we realize that everything is connected to Krishna. Time is apparently passing, but for the devotees, they're eternally serving Krishna anyway, so what difference does that really make? Oh, my body's getting old, I'm finished, you know. It's not a very realized statement. Or I'm sick, what's going to happen now? It's not a very realized statement. It may be a painful situation, but the realization of, well, I'm not the body, and you know, the body may be sick, or getting old, and going to die, and whatever else is there. But the soul who's living in the present is not affected by that. The pain may be there, but it's not affected by it. He's living in the eternal present in relationship with Krishna. We're not Mayavadi may also we do that, but that's not our goal. Goal is to be with Krishna.
So there's no anxiety or...
Pardon?
Is that why there's no anxiety
Yeah,
in the
by
present?
Quinta.
There's no anchoring in
There's
the
no anxiety. Anxiety is due to the, dwelling on the past and thinking of the future. Fear, anxiety, all due to this identification of the body, which is, like I say, is not our eternal body, temporary covering. Like it's just like a dress we're wearing, subtle over us. When we have anxiety, of course we do. I mean, if you go out now, and a monkey steals my glasses out, it creates anxiety. Or if you go out, somebody comes by on their bike, you just bought a brand new sari, and your sari gets caught in the wheels, the cog wheels of the bike or something, and it rips it to shreds, You feel great anxiety. Brand new silk sari, just bought it in Lay Bazaar, for 10,000 rupees or something. The first bike that comes by rips it to shreds, or it spreads oil all over it or something. You feel very disturbed. But we know in reality that's not us. It's your dress. What are you so worried about? But we do. We identify with it. But the body is even more so because we're conscious of the body. We're not just conscious of it. We're actually conscious. The consciousness is in it. It's all over it. But it is like a dress in reality because we identify with it so intensely. Then we're so afraid of anything happening to it. And so much anxiety about it. Fear of sickness or threat or future failure or pain or whatever it may be. That's partly living in the past because we have experience in the past and we don't want that to happen again, or we've seen others in the past, what happened to them. Here in the present, you don't have any idea, You have nothing, not in this world we don't, because that's like a madman. A madman doesn't think about the consequences of what he does at all. Just does whatever comes along, whatever it may be, and doesn't consider the consequences that this may cause you death sentences and something. Doesn't think like that, but an intelligent person does, because you are, after all, conditioned and living within this world of reality, not conditioned with stupid, or will cause future unnecessary harm to yourself or others. The madman is also, generally speaking, not afraid or in anxiety or anything. They're just, I don't know what they are, they're just mad. Devotees also, we hear sometimes the pure devotees are like madmen. They're not thinking like that. They're not thinking of the consequences of their actions. We're always concerned. And, it's supposed to be to a certain extent the case. The conditioned souls be very conscious of what we're doing, not act whimsically. You have to have a little bit of knowledge in order to apply that in our life, whatever we're doing. We're thinking of the future, Naturally, we're trying to learn from the past. But the goal of that for a devotee is to enhance our Krishna consciousness, not just to try to secure our position within the material world. If it's to enhance our devotion, then one will become more fearless and even free of anxiety. I mean, anxiety may be there, but it's Krishna conscious anxiety. Prabhupada's in anxiety also. He even writes, I'm afraid at any moment the demons may stop our movement. He even writes like that. Because ultimately they can't stop, but you get the point. The Prabhupada's feeling like that, because he sees sometimes the demons are systematically trying to stop Krishna consciousness. Full stop. In some countries they more or less think they have so many restrictions on the practice, what to speak of the institutional presence of religion or Krishna conscious specifically. Many Muslim countries and other places may have such kind of rules in place. Maybe it's not easy to openly practice Krishna consciousness in many cases. They have restrictive rules. The devotee rises above that. Tests may be there, but they're not affected by them. They just see them as Krishna's hand working, opportunities to surrender. Not opportunities to control, but opportunities to surrender to Krishna. Especially we heard here that they're also forgetting, and some devotees forget, and they don't understand. I think probably, not Prabhupada, but Sanatana Goswami was saying it's very hard for people to understand. It's a fact, it is, for every one of us. Accept what Krishna gives that comes our way. Try to do the best we can with what we've got. Anything else? 7 o'clock now. I'm supposed to meet with someone for a short while now. So we'll see what time we go in 11. We're going at 11. What time are you going tomorrow? You're coming with us? I don't know if you can understand. Who's coming in our car? I don't know.
You are going by car, right?
Yeah. I think the car's full, isn't it? We have a full car right now. Pardon?
We have